Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress. I thought it was time to update you on what's happening in the Women's World Championship. A quick recap. It's held in Tehran in Iran from February 10th to March 4th, 2017. They started with 64 players, a knockout format is played. Each round takes 3 days. The first 2 days, 2 classical games are played, and if the score is 1-all after those 2 games, we go into a tiebreak. 2 rapid games, then 4 blitz games, and if the score is still equal, then there is the Armageddon game. In the second round, the round of the last 32, of the 16 matches, only 7 finished after 2 games. The other 9 all went into a tiebreak, and I will show you 2 highlights, dramatic highlights from that tiebreak of the second round. The first highlight I show you is from the matchup between Natalia Buksa, women grandmaster from Ukraine, and Buksa-Guramishvili, international master and women grandmaster from Georgia. 1-all after the classical games, 1-all after the rapid games, so they went into the blitz games. The 5th game, the first blitz game, the 5th game overall, was won by Buksa with black, so Guramishvili had to win with black in the second blitz game, save the match. So this is the 6th game of the match, 2 classical games, 2 rapid games, and 1 blitz game was played. And black Guramishvili needs to win. Natalia Buksa is white, Buksa-Guramishvili is black. It's an endgame, we are already on move 83, and this is the position after rook e6 to e5 from Buksa. Black is a pawn up, but all the material is on one side of the board and it's very difficult to win this position. Objectively, the position is equal, but what does objectively mean if we're in a blitz game and we are on move 83? Here, Guramishvili played the blunder king h6. She was, of course, desperately looking for winning chances because she had to win this game to stay in the competition, and she forgot here about the safety of her king. Buksa returned a favor. She blundered with rook a5, which is not a good move. Of course, it keeps the game within a draw, but she could have won here. What she could have played is the strong move rook e7. And we suddenly have a mate threat on h7. Rook h7 will be checkmate. And this is very serious. You cannot play an obvious move like knight g6 to stop the mate, because then there is rook e6. And you are losing your knight. You also cannot play knight e2 check, that doesn't work, because then simply king f2 attacking the knight. The mate threat is still there, so you have to play something like g4 to stop the mate, but that will cost you your knight. And there really is nothing else. After rook e7, white is winning, and she only needed a draw. After rook a5 the game went on, and let's jump 40 moves to the next dramatic position. Here we see that black has been able to win a piece. Well, it was white who sacrificed the bishop to get to this theoretically drawn endgame of rook and knight versus rook. White did not defend it in the most accurate way, and black Guramishvili got some winning chances. Here she played rook g3 to g1 check, and it looks like white is in big trouble. Buksa played king f2, and then Guramishvili played rook g2. Looks very strong, because there's a skewer on the rook on a2. Buksa didn't see it. She took the knight and resigned after the rook was taken. What she could have played here is a stalemate trick. King e1 is the saving move, because if you now take the rook, the position is stalemate. the knight is taking the d1 and f1 squares away. So you cannot take on a2, but it also means your mating net is gone. You can play rook g3, for example, and then the game goes on, and Buksa has to survive for 16 more moves before she can claim a draw. So this game was won by Guramishvili, which meant the match went on. 2 more games to be played, and in the end Guramishvili won and went on to the round of last 16, the 3rd round. So that match did not go to the Armageddon game. 2 other matches did, and I want to show you the finish of Batsiashvili against Khurtsidze. Both international masters, both women grandmasters, and both from Georgia. The lady in this picture is Batsiashvili, and I think you can see from her body language what happened to her. This is the position: white Batsiashvili, black Khurtsidze. Armageddon. White had 5 minutes at the start, black had 4 minutes, but if the game is a draw, then black goes through to the next round. White is better here. Black has just played king b4 to c3, which was a mistake. She should have played king b4 to c4. We're on move 46, and only after move 60 players get a 2-second increment. You cannot blame anybody for playing king c3 here instead of king c4. And white could have won here with king d5. It wins in all variations. Let me show you one of them. If black pushes his pawn, pushes her pawn, then there is knight b5 check, king b4, the knight sacrifices itself for the pawn, and then king c6, king b4, king b7, king c5, king c8, bishop e7, white promotes, the bishop has to give itself for the queen, king takes, and this pawn endgame is winning for white. For example, king d6, king e8, king e6, king f8, and now white wins. For example, king e5, king f7 attacking the pawn. You have to defend the pawn, but you're running out of moves after king g7. You have to let the pawn go. White picks up that pawn, and the g pawn will run through to queen. That's one variation. Of course, black could also have played a bishop move, but that's also winning for white. Instead, Batsiashvili played knight c6, and that move does not win. Bishop c7 from Khurtsidze, knight e7, bishop d8 back, and of course you can go back to c6 with a move repetition, but that will only gain you a draw. And a draw was no good for white. White had to win because black had draw odds. Batsiashvili now saw that she cannot stop the pawn on a4, so she came up with a last-ditch attempt, took on g6, a3, knight f4, a2. She ran with a g-pawn, but it was too late. a1 queen, g7, queen a2 check, knight d5, counter check. But it is to no avail. After king d4, Batsiashvili resigned. She can promote the pawn, but then there's queen takes d5 check, and the new queen on g8 will be lost. Khurtsidze won this Armageddon game and went through to the 3rd round. 9 games it took to separate these 2 Georgian players, and it was Khurtsidze who went to the round of last 16. Hope you enjoyed these snippets of the Women's World Championship. Dramatic developments. It's not a great way to decide who's the best in the world, but it definitely gives a lot of excitement and drama more so for the public than for the players. It must be quite horrific to have to play such an Armageddon game after having played 8 other games against the same opponent. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to my channel, and I'm looking forward to your comments. You also may want to check out my Chess to Progress channel, which also has a lot of material. Thank you for watching. This is Rick from Chess to Impress.